Hello everybody and welcome to the C++ code editor. To start things off, I'll be going over the design of our code editor, basically giving you a tour and showing you a surface level view of what our code editor is capable of. So let's go ahead and run it and get started. Right here is the text area. This is where you write the code or where the open code will be displayed. Down here we have the console. This will let you know if the compilation was successful or if there were any errors and what those errors were if you had them. It also lets you know when the execution is finished, but the actual output of the program will be displayed in a pop-up command window. Next to the console tab, we have the class loader tab, which will display the class information once it's run. And now I will take you through the menu options, starting with project. This is where you go to create a new project or open an existing one. And you'll notice the save projects and close button are all grayed out. This is because there's not currently a project open, but as soon as you create a project or open one, these will become available to you. Next we have file, which is very similar to project, but it opens a single file instead of an entire project. And it also has the remove file button, so that if you decided you no longer wanted a certain file to be part of a project, you could click that and it would remove that file from the project. Next we have edit, which has your standard cut, copy, and paste, as well as a find replace tool. Next to that we have build, which contains your compile and execute buttons, and these are grayed out again because there's not a current project open. But as soon as you open a project, compile becomes available, but execute will remain grayed out until you compile something. Next we have the class loader, which when run will display the class information down here in the class loader tab. Next we have the set class path, which is where you would go to add or remove an external jar. And finally we have the about tab, which will link you to our GitHub if you wanted to look for more information in our README. Now that you've kind of had a tour of our code editor, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about the quality assurance testing that went into the development. We tested this editor with with as many different things as we could think of. We've tried everything from simple for loops and files with the same name to user input and reading and writing files. It took a lot of work, but we finally have it where it handles everything we've thrown at it, and we're pretty proud of the work we've done. And by now, I'm sure you've probably had enough of listening to me, so I'm going to hand it over to my fellow members of C++ to take you a little more in-depth with all the things our code editor can do.
Next, we're going to take a closer look into the project and file functionality. For project, you can create a new, open, save all files within the project, or close the project. Similarly, for file, you can open, close, save, new, and additionally remove a file. I'm going to create a new project here, and the editor will ask me to select a path. I'm going to choose project and put a name for the new project, which is test 24. And you will see a main class will be automatically generated within the new project folder with a static main method. And I'm going to make some changes for the code. And from here, I can either save the file or save the whole project. I'm closing the project out and open it again, and you will see my code has been saved. From here, I can create the second file named triangle. You will see a new triangle.java tab has been generated next to the previous one. I can make some change for this as well and save file. From here, I'm going to create the third file named dummy. It popped up right here again, and I don't need it, so I can remove the file. The difficult part for this is that we have to make sure if the user makes some changes for their file and leave the project. We will be able to ask them would they like to save before closing. In order to do this, we have to consider our frame in the editor here as an object, and we will have a class for that called tab. With this tab, we will have different characteristics such as tab name, a boolean modified or not. With this modified, we will be able to tell if the user has made some changes for the tab. If yes, we will ask them if they want to save before closing, just like the editor asked me here. And also with the class tab has a tab name, which is the file name, we can restrict the user from create a file with the same name. I'm going to do it here. I'm going to create a new triangle file within the same folder. The editor tell me name already used.
Hi everyone, this is Yingwing. I feel so excited because I'm going to share with you about the features that I has been contributing to this Java code editor application. So I'm mainly responsible for creating the edits feature. So in the edits feature, and also I also responsible for creating the color feature in the text area. So for edit feature, we have cut, copy, paste, and a user can access to the feature from this edit menu, or they can do just right click, and then they have all the options like undo, redo, delete, select all, or folding. For example, I want to fold this or expand this. I want to copy this. I do Control C, and I want to paste it. I do Control V. And the most important thing is the find and replace dialog. So this dialog, I have to create them from scratch, and this file drop box. In this box, drop down box, it can save all the keyword, the keyword that a user has been searching for. For example, I want to search the system.out. I do file forward, file next, or I can do file backward, file previous. And now I don't want to find. I want to replace all of these with system.in and then replace all. So let's see the result. Okay, so yes, we're successful. All the system.out now replaced with system.in, but I actually don't want to do it, so I just want to undo it. So another feature is the color. So in this, I use the blue color for if, else, while, and for. I also use red color for arithmetic like equal, plus, minus, and Boolean operator like less than or equal to, and so on. So I do have challenge when I implement this feature. I found this the color feature is one of the most challenging part. I have to do a lot of research. I have to read documentation of the classes and function. And finally, I found the R syntax area library. It has been very helpful for me to implement the color feature. Also, in the R syntax area, they has the search engine and search context that has been helping me a lot when I was implementing the find and replace. So via this project, I has been learning a lot, and I feel so excited about it. Thank you for watching.
Alright, the compile and execute functions. These are found under the build menu. We have compile all, and this compiles every project file. We have compile main, and this compiles main.java. We have compile current, and this compiles the current tab. So let's go ahead and compile current. Now it was successful, so it outputs success. Now let's go ahead and compile main.java. Now it wasn't successful, so it outputs fail, and then it outputs the javac output. So let's go ahead and fix all these errors. Semicolon there, and semicolon there. Now let's go ahead and compile all. Now they're both successful. Now execute is now enabled because main has been successfully compiled and moved to the bin folder. So let's go ahead and run execute using F5. And press any key to continue. This is going to stop the process. Now the execute uses a batch file to emulate the console in Visual Studio. Originally the Java output would show on the console inside the editor, and we had a text field for user input. However, it was hard to handle user input this way, so we decided to use the command prompt to handle the process. If you want to compile with an external jar, you have that option in the set class path. So you could add an external jar, and you can choose any jar from your file system, and it's going to copy it to the library. You can remove an external jar, which is going to generate a list of all the jars in your library, and you can remove any of the ones you want, and it's not going to be included in the class path. If you want to open a file that is not part of the project, so let's go to desktop test 4, source main, and let's go to open file, desktop test 3 main. Now we cannot compile this because it's not a project file, so compile current is going to be disabled for both of these tabs. So compile current is also disabled. And if we compile main, it's going to compile the main.java from test2. And then if we compile all, it's going to be almost only going to compile foo.java and main.java. Alright, that was a quick overview of compile and execute.
Hello, this is Kit Ding, and all of my team members already talked about their presentation, so I'm just gonna briefly discuss about my part on the project. So in the Java editor, I was able to implement the keyword count. So when you have a script or you have a code in Java, it will specify the number of keywords on the status bar over here. And in our case, the keyword are if, else, while, and for. So we only have 4 keywords at this time. The if in the comment section shouldn't be counted. That's one of our bugs in the beginning. We able to count the keywords, but we also count the keyword inside the comment section, and that's not the right solution. So we have to implement an external library called Java Pacer, and also using the document listener. So every time a character is adding, remove, or change from the content, the document listener will call the function count keyword and compare the new content with the old content. Then we're able to figure out the right number of the keywords based on the condition inside of the Java Pacer. The second thing is the class loader. What is a class loader? Basically, a class loader is from the parent project is the Java editor. We can go into the child program and then bring out the class of all the class name inside the child program, and also all of the functions. Without like look into the folder, we can just run it, and then we know like how many classes or how many function it's gonna execute. So how to do that? We're just gonna go into build, compile all, make sure that we have all the class path, and then we hit the run in the class loader. So it's gonna show us the class, the main class of the child program, all the function in the child program, the output of the main class in the child program, the break, which is the class also in the child program. The function of this is output, the last class, and all this output, and also the function of that. But because in the class week, we didn't have any function, so that's why you cannot see any function in the command. So the project is really interesting, and we learned a lot about that, and we also have like run into a lot of bugs, we run into a lot of issue, we have a lot of confusion, but every time we went through them, we learn more and deeply into Java. So if you have a chance, like, or you may have opportunity to like go into our GitHub, like check it out. I'm pretty sure you're gonna like it and you're gonna learn something new. So let's jump into the funny video then. Thank you.
Surprise, it's me again. Before you go, I just wanted to show you one of our favorite tests to run in our code editor. So what I've done is I've opened an existing project, and I've opened our code editor inside the code editor and gone ahead and compiled everything. And now, when you execute it, boom, you got a code editor that's running from our code editor. And if you're feeling real crazy, you can open up another project. Let's open up our code editor again, compile everything. It's a lot to compile, so it takes it a second. It's got to think about a lot of stuff. But once it's done, we can execute our code editor again. And then we will have another code editor running inside of the code editor that was running inside of our code editor. We have code editor inception, people. We're 3 editors deep. Anyway, we just thought that was pretty awesome and wanted to show you guys. Thanks for watching.